Hey, quick question, Heather.
Yeah.
When did being faithful start feeling like a contact sport?
That is so true. I mean, we love Jesus, but sometimes we're just tired in a way that coffee can't fix.
Yeah, we're exhausted.
All right. Welcome to the Josh and Heather podcast. We're so glad you're here. This podcast is for anyone who loves Jesus, anyone who is a ministry leader, or couples just looking to grow in their relationship.
Yeah, we're looking forward to talking with you today about what it's like to be faithful to God, faithful in your marriage, faithful with your kids, but also just slightly wanting just to go to bed every day, all day long. What is it like to keep being faithful in the midst of exhaustion? This is our main concept that we're going to be talking about today. But before we do, we're going to jump into our coffee mug time. Heather, we've got very specific coffee mugs today, don't we?
We do.
Yeah.
So we've got our St. Patty's Day mug. I've got Let the Shenanigans Begin. Because if you're not shenaniganing,
Say it again.
shenanigans,
That's it.
then what are you even doing?
So it is St. Patrick's Day somewhere in the world, perhaps Ireland, and those of us who are still celebrating.
Yes.
For those of you who don't know, Heather likes to celebrate every holiday. Every holiday is important to her. You should see what she does on Arbor Day. Arbor Day?
Arbor Day. I need to celebrate that. I love trees. Why have I not celebrated Arbor Day?
But for now, it's St. Patrick's Day. So to all you O'Shannons out there,
What's your mug?
well, I mean, it's St. Patrick's Day, so I don't want to talk about what's in my mug. It's coffee. Relax. Mine says, "She's my lucky charm." And I picked this today because she told me to.
I said we need matching mugs. And for the record, I bought him that mug.
Yeah.
He did not find that and say, this is so special. It reminded me of my wife. But
Right.
a good wife knows that you can place subtle reminders even in their hand, and it can be a blessing to you in your marriage.
I feel like the way you're talking right now and the way I'm kind of listening is like that reel of that guy who is being told by his girlfriend or wife or captive about, I just bought you all that food and we're going to scarf it down. And you know what I'm talking about?
No, I haven't seen that.
You've never seen that reel?
No.
And he's just like a prisoner. You haven't seen that?
Funny. No.
How even not? All right. Coffee Mug Time is not about reels that we've seen. It's about questions that we ask. And in here, we've got random questions that we select out while we sip our coffee. And we're going to answer this for the audience today. Heather, do you want to start?
And make sure you answer this with whomever you are listening with.
Yeah, that's right. You have the question today, Heather. What's a habit the other person has that used to annoy you and maybe still does?
Okay.
What?
The answer is there are so many. Not because you're a bad person.
There's so many.
It's because we're getting older. Like, I was going to save this for the marriage one. But because we're going to be talking about marriage in just a couple of podcasts.
Okay.
But
just remember, I get to go next.
You do.
Right.
You do.
Right.
Okay. So I'm going to name one that you do. No, I'm going to name two you do.
Okay.
Very quickly, and then I'm going to name one that we both
Wait, you're
do.
going to do two? Why are you picking two? Let me have
I
one.
have to, because they're both equally strong. The first one, we are clean in different ways.
Yes, we are.
We are. We've done this for a while.
This is not starting well. I'll tell you that right now.
But he will leave cabinet doors wide open. And to me, it's just like, it disrupts everything.
I don't understand
just
the
can't
problem.
I can't even handle it. I go through just closing cabinets. And that leads me to my second one.
Okay.
I try to slam the cabinet to bring awareness to his heart, but he has this habit of having his earbuds in. Is that what they're called? Pods? Earbuds?
I think they're called earbuds.
Those things. The buds in his ear.
Like the dog who plays basketball.
And they are noise canceling.
Yeah.
And I'm not the only one. Our daughters have noticed this too. He's walking around the house like a tornado. He's fast moving, doing all the stuff. And we are shouting. We can't get his attention.
I'm 45 years old. I'm not deaf yet. I'm preparing to be deaf by having these earpods in my ears at all times. That's what irritates me the most.
The only good thing is we do sometimes have conversations that you have no idea what we're talking about because we know you can't hear us, which is amazing. And then now that we're getting older, we both chew too loud. And I'm embarrassed to admit that, but I annoy him and he annoys me and we annoy our children sometimes with our chewing. It's really bad.
Mm,
How does that happen? Why does that happen when we're
I don't
older?
know. You can't hear enough, but what you can hear irritates you more.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay, your turn.
Okay.
It's a free for all. Watch your step.
What irritates me most about you is you're so beautiful. It outshines my.
Come on, we said we were going to do
You're so
real
strong.
talk at this.
You're
this
so
podcast.
powerful. You're so independent and
Am
strong.
I going to have to tell the people what annoys you most that I do?
I don't know what it is.
Okay, so one of the things is with cleaning. I said we like different things. I like things to be clean, but I also don't mind a pile of things. So like on my desk in my room, I can have stacks of stuff and I'm working through it. It drives him crazy. Can't handle clutter.
Here's the thing. Okay. Like, I feel like you clean up a little, you move the clutter around, you put it back in its place the way it's supposed to be put in its place. But she doesn't feel like you can start cleaning until you can deep clean. And that.
Well, no, I'll clean other spaces, but not that.
Yep. She's right. Nothing irritates me about Heather. And that's what's truly beautiful about our life, because though we're faithful to one another, we're so exhausted.
That was a beautiful transition.
With each other. And with our lives. No, in reality, we were talking about this episode prior to recording, and we were talking about the fact that we don't feel that at the moment. Like right now, we're not there.
I was like, we don't need to do this because I'm not tired right now.
Right. But there have definitely been times in our lives, I said, well, let's talk about 6 months ago, or for me, 2 years ago. There are moments in our lives where we have attempted to be faithful and love the life that God has given us, but we feel deeply tired, done, like to the point where we cannot go on. And if we've felt that way, we assume you felt that way as well. So like, what do we do, Heather? What are the principles that we've taken into our lives that even in the midst of exhaustion, we can remain faithful to what God has called us to do?
Okay, so first of all, you've got to step back, maybe with someone you love, maybe with a counselor, and definitely with the Lord. Sit down and say, okay, why am I feeling this? Why is my soul cast down? Why is my body so tired? There could be multiple reasons. One is obviously you may need a break. You might need a vacation. And if you're there right now, guess what? We've got an answer to that, because February of 2027.
Wait a second. Did this just become a commercial?
It's a quick one, but it's so good. You don't want to miss it.
I didn't know
We're going to Israel. And you should come with us.
That's true. We are actually going to Israel.
Get restoration.
In February of 2027.
Yeah.
With Josh and Heather and the traveling that we do. And if you've never been to Israel, it really is a great opportunity. We'll tell you more a little bit about that later. But it's true that we have found that getting away just for a night, getting away just to escape has been incredibly beneficial. Now, we were able to do this even when we had young children, because we had parents and we had friends and we had siblings that we could trust to watch our children. And if there's people in your life that you have built relationship with, that you feel like can watch your children overnight, that it can be a safe environment, don't feel badly to leave behind your toddlers, leave behind your young children for a night and spend a little alone time together. It can be incredibly restorative. Now you might say, well, I don't really have some of those people. Well, in a future episode, we're going to talk about how to build community in such a way that you don't have to be living life alone. So one of the things that we would say that really does restore strength in the midst of an exhaustion time is to take a break away. What else, Heather? What's another way?
Well, I think we got to say a little more about that, because I think there's Sabbaths, and I have not done a detailed study on Sabbaths, as you're going to soon realize. But I think there's different things we see in Israel and how God set this up, this time of rest, that weekly, but also what we just talked about would not be a weekly. You're not getting away every week, to go to the mountains and rest, or to go even camping or anything, to just get away. But those would be like those times of maybe feasting, celebration, where they put work aside, they did other things. But I think that weekly time, asking yourself, when am I turning things off? When am I stepping away? And we've always said, for us, we'll have seasons that are busy. So there are some weeks that are so full, but then we make sure that the following week we're taking a little more time than normal to recover. Our bodies need that. Our souls need that. So I think that Sabbath concept, man, we don't have the whole episode for this, but I think that's important to talk
Yeah,
about.
I reiterate the concept
Yeah.
of a Sabbath as well. If you don't have one full day a week that you can set apart for rest and for your relationship with God, then you're going to wear out. The human body was not created to do this. Even God himself took the seventh day to rest. A good book, if you're a reader, obviously you're a listener, so you can get it on Audible or Libby and listen to the book. It's called The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry, and it talks about the Sabbath principle. But even if you don't get that book, I do want to encourage you to think through what day of the week do you take off. Now, I've done a lot of personal pastoral counsel with individuals who are very young and have very crazy schedules. And in that case, I encourage people to begin by taking a partial Sabbath. In every single week, there are 7 days, and in every day, there's 24 hours. If you can't take 24 hours to rest, is it possible you take a quarter of a day, 6 hours? For example, to say every Sunday morning from 6 a.m. to 12 noon, that is God time. I sleep in. I don't get up until 9 a.m., 9:30. Then you grab some coffee, make some breakfast, drive to church, sit there, don't serve, just listen. Then come home, relax, and look at social media if you want to. Spend a little quiet time. Read the Bible a little bit more, and then till noon. Now you've got a quarter of a day of a Sabbath that you can move into 12 hours when your schedule changes. Now you've got 12 hours of Sabbath, 6 to 6, and then eventually 6 to 12 midnight is your Sabbath, and then a 24-hour Sabbath. That's what we would encourage you to begin. Just like some people start tithing by saying, man, I can't do 10%, but I want to give 2%. And then I'll start at 4%. Eventually you'll build up to the biblical concept of tithe, but you can start somewhere. And we would encourage you to take that kind of rest.
The other thing goes back to the physical. And this is where you mentioned about, I don't know, 6 months ago, a year ago, I was struggling hard and I was trying to figure it out. I was going, to the doctor, just basic stuff, testing the iron because I've been anemic before and that can exhaust you. And so thinking, why am I struggling? And then questioning, I'm a woman of a certain age. I'm in my mid 40s. So I'm like, is this a thing? You always hear about this midlife stuff. I know in the blink of an eye is when it happened. But I was talking to different women. I'm reading different books about midlife and trying to figure out what was going on and questioning, is this hormones, is this different things? And for me, and everyone's different, but for me, it came down to nutrition, quite frankly. I was struggling even with exercise, weight gain. I've never had a big issue with exercise, but it was hard. I'm looking back now to realize even to push myself. I honestly don't know how I made it for work and anything I did for that year or so because I was not getting any protein. So it was not until we hired a nutritional coach, because sometimes when you're in this place for an extended season, you're going to have to try different things to figure out what's going on. I'd already done blood work. I'm working through some things, spiritually and at work. And then it came down to, we hired a nutrition coach and she made it simple enough for me to measure out how much protein I needed. And it was not nearly enough. It wasn't. And within, I would say 2 to 3 days, I felt a change that quickly because I think I was so malnourished in that. And it's been a game changer for me because it has given me energy. I feel like a different person. I can think again. I was having trouble making coherent sentences. So if you see me struggle on here, you just have no idea. It was so bad. We were even speaking at a couples retreat one time and I'd been telling him, I'm like, this midlife stuff, I'm like, I can't think. I can't make words come together. And he didn't, I think, fully believe me until we were in Florida doing a couples retreat and we're teaching together. And I was trying to think of some phrase, a common vernacular thing. And I couldn't come up. And finally he helped me, but I saw his eyes get real big and I could see it clicking. He's like, oh, she is struggling. This is real. But I think physically, would you add anything to that with the physical?
Not really the physical. I mean, for years before I learned to exercise, I was tired a lot earlier and I was younger. And that for me had less to do with nutrition as much as it had to do with exercise and just getting out there. And what they say is absolutely true. The more you utilize your body, body in the most efficient ways, the more your body utilizes itself for you. And so if you don't use it, you lose it. And so I found that absolutely a consistent exercise schedule brought incredible energy. So we've talked about just the aspect of Sabbath rest, giving your body the amount of time to rest, to sleep at night, to be able to have a proper diet, exercise. I want to talk about the emotional strain that brings incredible depths of exhaustion.
Good.
If you're going through a time of emotional strain, which we have many times. We've gone through emotional strain of the loss of parents. We've gone through the emotional strain of diagnosis. We've gone through the emotional strain of
Ministry.
ministry,
Yeah.
of great loss. I mean, even with losses of pregnancy that we've experienced. There have been many moments throughout our 25 years of marriage that we've gone through devastating, heavy seasons.
Yeah.
And when that's there, man, that sits so heavy in your mind and in your heart that even when you're resting, you feel like you can't come up for air. And I have a few thoughts on how to get through that time of exhaustion. And then I want to hear from Heather. First thought is this. I find, and it not just to be the religious thing to say, I find it to be absolutely true that there's nothing that can beat quiet time alone with God. Now, for me, that means I like to put my earpods in. I like to listen to some classical music.
I just want to say that he is not always having time with God when those earbuds are in.
Correct.
There's a lot of time those earbuds are in, and it is not his time with God.
Sometimes,
just so y'all know.
Sometimes it's just because I'm studying and researching history or watching YouTube. All right. Time alone with God, music, a fire, and just sitting there with the scripture or just looking at my garden. I have some flowers that I've planted. And that is incredibly restorative. Hearing from God, feeling connected to God, and allowing God to speak his truth into my life. I would say that there's nothing like that. Outside of that, there are other practices that I have found to be incredibly helpful during this time as well. The second thing is mind diversion. So whatever it is in your life after you've spent time with God that you truly can just enjoy and allow your mind to get lost in. For years, I would love to just go in the middle of the day when things are very stressful and nobody can find me to a local movie theater. And I'd grab a bucket of popcorn and I'd grab an icy and I would sit there and I'd watch some sort of a action movie. And to be lost in that story for me, it felt restorative. Some would call that escapism, but I would say there's a healthy form of escape whenever you are in the midst of a season that feels like there is no escape. What is it that you're able to do in a healthy way that allows your mind to take a break from the heaviness? And the third aspect there.
For a time, I have to add that in. You mentioned this, but good things that God gives us can easily become idols or traps for us. And I think that's one of them. I think escapism is we need the biblical word for that, honestly. But that diversion, that the good gifts, food, I'll use food as an example. Food can be something that God gives us that is a solace and a comfort to your soul. And there are days that I would go and get a treat, because I'm just hurting or tired. And I just sit with the Lord and I'm like, God, thank you for this gift of this moment. But I could also go every single day and get a milkshake, a iced coffee, or whatever.
Yeah, so this is a really good point.
And that's a tension there. That's a problem.
And it's actually a type of tension that we ought to unpack a little bit. I mean, maybe in a future episode we'll unpack it because as there are those who would fall all the way over to the side of asceticism, which would say, no pleasure at all. Fight the war. Keep fighting until you die. And there are others, as you're saying and indicating on the other side, that would fall so far into lasciviousness that all they're doing is feeding their flesh and in essence, eventually killing themselves in doing so. So the question then would become, where is that balance? I think there's a third element that really helps in the time of emotional strain, and that would be just time. time eventually heals these things. So you might feel
good.
just exhausted, like you're never
Yeah.
going to get through this. The children are two of them in diapers, and the third one is just learning how to yell at his parents. And you're wondering, why am I so tired? And the answer is because you have three babies.
Yeah.
Or you might think to yourself, man, I don't know why I'm so tired right now. And the answer is you're at the busiest stage of your life with the most financial expectation upon you, and you're running like crazy. Maybe there are too many things on your plate, but this time will go by. This is why we encourage you to take Sabbath rest. This is why we encourage you to find stuff that you enjoy. And in the midst of all of that, realize there might be an emotional strain. Heather, what would you
I
add to
think
this?
the one thing I add to that is we have to cut things out. And this is coming from someone who doesn't like to cut things out. Less is not more. More is more. That's my motto. Put it on my tombstone. But seriously, it's so important for soul health. We've talked about the physical, checking on physical health. Soul health, we've got to say, this is too much. I was just going through scripture the other day, and it was a part where Moses' father-in-law, Jethro, comes up and is watching Moses doing all the things in ministry, even dealing with every little squabble. I think one version I read one year said something, or maybe the commentator did, about like, he broke my axe or whatever. Like, this is what Moses is dealing with for all these people. And Jethro said, this isn't a good plan. You're not going to handle this. It's not good for the people. It's not good for you. And I think that sometimes we experience burnout, or because of the season we're in, young moms. I've counseled young moms who are literally in tears, and they're like, I don't know what, and they're homeschooling. They just had their fourth baby. They also are working full-time at home, like all these things. And I remember another mom was counseling with me in this. She's a missionary. And we were both like, we know why you're tired. You need to cut some things out. So I think that's important in seasons and in life. So physically, spiritually, soul health. The soul health thing, it's good what you said too about time. I'll add that, and then I'll be done with this point. We'll move on to spirit. There are deep hurts that are so long, that are going to take so long to heal from. And sometimes we don't realize how deep those blows are. And that's when we need to seek counseling from a trusted friend, from a professional Christian counselor, to look at us and say, that's going to take a while to heal, but you will. Keep following God, give him these hurts, and you will. So I think when we're exhausted, we have to look at physical health. We have to look at soul health. And then last of all, the spiritual. And I don't mean just spiritual health. The verse I was thinking about, and it's a verse. Can I say I don't like a verse of the Bible? Is that allowed?
I mean, God will judge
I
you.
love the Bible, but this one's always been frustrating, and people love to quote it. It's probably one, might even be your favorite verse, so don't hate me. But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint. And I was thinking about that this morning. I mean, it says even before that, the youths will grow weary, the young men will stumble. But I was thinking about that, and I hear that verse so often. I'm like, I'm not mounting up. I'm way down, and I get frustrated thinking about that. But one of the things that came to me recently is, as we grow spiritually, as we're walking with God, how time transforms us, and we do grow stronger. Now, it's his strength, and I don't want to lose the point of the passage. The point of the passage is that you are looking for, you are expecting him to show up. It's not our own strength that we're rising up on. It's his. And that's a beautiful part of the passage, because it does say young men will get tired and old men will faint. But those that wait upon the Lord, that look for him, that rely on him spiritually, that aren't doing things in their own strength, which is exhausting, are gonna rise up. But I want to add with time with this. This is something that just happened at the gym. So I love to talk about the gym. Whenever we're active physically, it comes out in our conversations a lot. But I was at a kickboxing class the other night, and I've been doing really well. I've been doing consistently probably 2 years now at this place. And I remember when I started, there would be certain women that, man, they would hit hard. They're fast. Their form is good. You know, their kicks are high. It's so incredible. And I was in awe of them. And I would tell them, I'd be like, your kicks are so hard. Man, your stamina, how do you keep going? And recently, I've had multiple people now, newer members of the gym, say that to me. They're looking at me. It just happened the other night. I had two dudes on either side of me. They both like ran out of steam and I'm still going. Or I kick high and they're like, oh my word, it's so hard. And it just hit me. I'm like, because of being faithful, I've actually become the person I used to admire. And I think that's true in so many of these things. God tells us just stick with it, sow and reap. Trust me, follow me, and you will get stronger. You will get that deeper stamina where you're able to learn when to Sabbath. You'll get better at figuring out, oh, this is what I've got for this amount, and this is where I need to step back. You learn all this with time. So what would you add there?
I would just say that if you're like us and you love Jesus, but you're exhausted, there are answers, and you're not alone. Because we have felt that many, many times. And we're going to feel it again. So when we do, reach out to us and send us this own episode of ours so that we can remind ourselves of how important it is to take care of yourself spiritually, internally, as well as physically. And this is our moment for grit and grace.
I forgot.
Yeah,
you go first.
It's time to share. In our moment of grit and grace as we end out, we always like to share something that's been hard lately, or something that's God's really shown up, a moment of grit or a moment of grace. Where would you like to begin? Do you want to share a moment of grit, or do you want to share a moment of grace?
I'll say grit.
Okay.
And I'll make it quick. Honestly, one of the things we didn't even get to talk about is passion, and the fact that sometimes we get really uncomfortable and exhausted because God is getting ready to move us to something else. So you may be like, why is this? I feel like I'm just getting nowhere and I'm running out of steam and I'm so tired. And then you get to the point where you have to go to something else and you're where you're supposed to be. And all of a sudden there's this joy and this energy. And I think I've seen those grace moments in my life where I was so tired, and some of it was just God said, it's time to change and change your focus.
Yeah.
So that's a moment of grit and grace.
Yeah.
I took both. Ha.
Well, then I guess I don't need to share one. Now I'll share a moment of grace. For me, the moment of grace has been lately. I've been exhausted in the past, but I find that right now, I think that God has given a lot of grace in surrounding me with good men and women on our staff, and with our deacons who are just taking the lead in our congregation and our church that I've never seen before. So maybe you're a young church planter out there and you're making disciples and you're thinking, when will it ever be where I'm not doing everything? Well, years to come, there will be an opportunity. And that didn't happen after 25 years. It took just a few years before God started sending our first deacons and our first staff members. Yeah. And I have noticed that as we continue to plant, God gives the increase. And I find that there are many co-laborers that God sends along the way. So that's been a moment of grace related to exhaustion for me. Well, we end with a blessing, as we do each and every episode. So I want to read this scripture to you related to this topic, and then end with a blessing. Heather will declare a blessing over you. The scripture is from Galatians chapter 6 and verse number 9. It says, "Let us not grow weary in doing well, for in due season we will reap if we do not give up."
That's good. And with that, we'd like to bless you. May your home be full of laughter, your calling be certain, and your love be wildly faithful.
We're Josh and Heather.